Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to Come On Ref. I'm one of your hosts, Aidan. I'm here with my man Chadwick. Chadwick, say what's up to the people, man.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing, Aiden?
I'm good. How are you, man? How you been
Good.
feeling?
I'm
That's
good,
good.
man. I'm good. I'm excited. We got
Yeah,
some Browns action. We got stuff going on. It's
yeah. So
March Madness time. We
you
got
know,
baseball's starting up, man. I'm excited, man. I'm
yeah.
excited.
It's been March is usually a big month. Start of free agency, March
Yeah.
Madness. So we're gonna get into a little bit of both of those things.
Okay.
Obviously, this is a Cleveland podcast, as you can see. Um, so we're gonna talk about the Browns pickups so far. We'll start with the first signing, Ogobo Okoronkwo.
Yeah.
The end from the Houston Texans. We signed him 3 years, 19 million, up to 22 million dollars,
Yeah.
12.5 guaranteed. How do you feel about that, Jed?
I'm pretty excited about that, man. I don't know if it. I mean, he had a huge season last year. Not so much in sack numbers, but just
Right.
quarterback pressures.
Yep.
Um, the Browns. I don't know if you know, with adding him to Miles Garrett already in the mix, they have two of the top five now quarterback pressure rate guys from last
Yep.
year. If you can just simply keep that up, or even really not even keep it up, but come anywhere close to it. Because I don't know if he finished, by the way, ahead of Miles Garrett and a guy named Nick Bosa. So I don't know if that's exciting to you to think about that defensive line with just that
Very,
addition right now. But
very exciting.
I'm pretty fired up unless I'm a quarterback, to be honest
No,
with
no doubt. If you watch him, he's got a deep bag of pass rush moves.
you. Hmm.
He can win in a multitude of ways. Obviously, like you said, a bunch of pressures, 11 QB hits, 5 sacks on the year. Um, I
Yeah,
think he was kind of the number one pass rush guy in Houston, so he might have got more attention than he will get on the Browns. So
yeah,
maybe that production stays pretty close, or if Miles Garrett gets there too fast, it's a
yeah,
little off. But I think it's a great signing. Cheap too for a guy that I think it's a low risk, high reward type of deal.
yeah,
I think he could be a big time player for us, and
yeah. At just
that's
over 6 million a season. That's
yeah,
amazing.
and that's somebody we needed, because
Yeah,
obviously our D line's dwindling, and we're just not looking great. You can take it with a grain of salt. He had an 81.9 PFF pass rush grade.
hmm,
Some of those things are a little wonky at times, but
it can be.
I think that looks at mostly just winning quickly. Um, I just think he's explosive, and I think he could really get it done for us this year.
Agreed.
At least I think that moves who we have to draft somewhat early.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Obviously, we made another move.
Yes.
Dalvin Tomlinson, the defensive tackle from Minnesota,
Yeah.
4 years, 57 million, 27.5 guaranteed.
Hmm.
How do you feel about him? Big man in the middle.
I mean, it's a big space eater. He's got some quickness too. I don't know if maybe that's a little bit underrated when you think about Dalvin Tomlinson, but I think on the surface you might look at this move and say, the Browns maybe just overspent just a tick, for a guy who I don't know if he really ever got over 650 snaps, in a season when he was in Minnesota. Kind of makes him a little bit of a rotational player, but I think when you really look at the Browns' situation and where they were defensively, they could not stop the run last year. At times, they were gashed, like they didn't even have a guy on the defensive line. And I think Tomlinson shores that up right away, even if he's only in there, first and second down, even if he's not a third down guy, whatever. I mean, if he's a rotational guy, I think the Browns' run defense is definitely better with Tomlinson on the field. I don't know. Like I said, maybe just a tick of an overpay, just to reach a little bit for him. But again, the Browns were in that position where they desperately, really, really needed to upgrade the run defense, and they did that.
No doubt. My thing with the overpay is this is Cleveland. You're gonna have to overpay a little bit to get guys to come here. So that's
Sure.
expected.
Yeah,
Um, Dalvin Tomlinson, even if he is a first and second down guy, that's not a third down guy. I mean, he did have 29 pressures this year.
yeah,
Um, but I just I can't watch that interior defensive line again for another season with Jordan Elliott and Perrion Winfrey and
no,
all those terrible, like, yeah, no,
that's bad.
all those terrible guys. It's just
It's bad.
it's ridiculously bad. I mean, I watched Algier from the Falcons and Cordero Patterson from the Falcons had not even make Mariota throw 10 times because we couldn't stop the run. It was that bad. It was, you know. So if we got to overpay for a guy that can stuff it up in the middle some, I'll willingly do that because we need a guy like that. We need a guy to keep the guy off our, more little small linebackers. I didn't know really how to put it, but
Yeah.
they're not big guys. They're not shedding blocks often. You want them out in space. You want them with a free look at running backs and receivers and quarterbacks. So I think it was the right move, even if we did have to make a little bit of an overpay.
Yeah.
Because this is, like I said, this is Cleveland. This is where you overpay. I get that he's 29 and it's a 4-year deal. It's a front-loaded contract, though, so most of it's out of the way in the first two.
Wait. Come on, ref. You trying to say people don't want to come to Cleveland?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Bryan left twice.
Okay. All right. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe we do have to overpay a little bit. It's a Cleveland tax. That's okay.
Just a little bit. We did pay a lot of money for John Johnson.
Yeah.
So.
And how's that working out?
Not great.
No. Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
good.
it's just so you
overall. Overall, so far, honestly, the Browns.
I think there's definitely some holes that can change what we do in the draft or the rest of the offseason. So, I like to add another receiver that can add a little bit of speed in the area, right? But I think
now, would you be looking at a receiver through free agency here, or are you looking at the draft? If you're the Browns.
I'm looking free agency, trade, draft. Anyway, I think Mary Kay linked us to MaryKay@Cleveland.com, so we don't leave that out. Linked us to Elijah Moore recently from the Jets. I'd be great with that. Just all depends, So we'll keep an eye out, see what happens. But I definitely think that changes what we need to do in the draft. Maybe you go more of a linebacker. Maybe you go more safety in the second round. You never know. So we'll see. Maybe go left tackle. But we'll see what happens. What do you think, of the move?
Well, yeah, first of all, I think it's a good thing that they don't really have to, focus on the draft to try to shore up the defensive line. As I've said to you before, I think that's a little bit of a project sometimes when you, especially interior defensive linemen, sometimes it seems to take them, well, some guys obviously, are the exception to that rule. But I think it sometimes takes a year or two or maybe even 3 for some of the interior defensive linemen to really, I don't know if it's getting used to the physicality of the game or just the speed at which things actually happen, in the trenches in the NFL. Sometimes it just takes guys a little time to adjust. And it seems like, unfortunately with some of the guys we've had here that we've drafted for the interior defense, it's taken them more than, that fair amount of time to adjust. And some of them never really did adjust. So I think it's good. You take a little pressure off yourself. That was, probably the biggest area of need. I mean, getting another guy to bookend with Myles Garrett to get after the quarterback, Tomlinson in the middle to stop the run. And like you said, he's got the ability to get after the quarterback a little bit too. He filled 2 big holes there. And, I don't know. I mean, I guess when you average the 2 contracts out, it's not an overpay at all. I mean, it's 2 really good moves.
No, I agree. It's just, we moved Deshaun's contract around.
Yeah.
We got to pay him $60+ million 3 years down the road. Which is, we better win before then because
you better be on the right track at least. I mean, but what's even the right track here? I mean, in Cleveland, the right track is winning one more game than we won the year before. I mean,
I think we got to win. I think we got to go 10-7.
Yeah.
For it to be the right track. Obviously, there's a lot of news swirling and stuff like that about free agency. So we're going to talk about some of those moves. Jimmy G going to the Raiders. How do you feel about that one?
I feel like it's the same guy. I mean, maybe it's a change of scenery type of thing, but is he really that different from Derek Carr, from where they were before? maybe just the relationship kind of wore out a little bit. It seemed like sometimes publicly, I don't want to say they were at odds, but I mean, it kind of felt like they were at odds a little bit, right?
No doubt.
I guess there's no other way to say it. Really, there's no political way to say that. But yeah, I guess I don't know if it makes them better. I mean, again, maybe change of scenery, change of attitude, change of something. I don't want to say Carr had a bad attitude. I just think, for whatever reason, it just wasn't working out. But I don't know. Garoppolo's a guy he's intriguing, no doubt. But I think he's also kind of intriguing because he kind of, he grew up under Tom Brady a little bit. And
Yeah.
I think people, are always going to there's always going to be that air of mystique around him, right? Because he played under Tom Brady. He was the backup to Tom Brady. Tom Brady's the only guy that's going to be Tom Brady. I don't know that just, backing up Tom Brady and watching him go out and, holding a clipboard is going to make you automatically better as a quarterback. But who knows? It's hard to say, honestly, with that one. It's just like I said, I feel like they replaced, Derek Carr with the same type of quarterback. Maybe the change of scenery works. Don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree with you with the mystique kind of thing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of reports that there was a rift between Belichick and Kraft because Belichick wanted to move on from Brady and go to Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Obviously, the connection of McDaniel and Garoppolo for the Raiders makes sense, right?
Yep. Yeah, that comfortability there. Yeah, for sure.
It just does nothing for me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he won a lot of games in San Francisco. So did Brock Purdy.
Right.
So
Right.
Is that Kyle Shanahan or is that Jimmy Garoppolo? Is that George Kittle and Deebo Samuel? Or is that Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah.
And with that 49ers defense with Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, or is it Jimmy Garoppolo? You make that decision. I think we all know the answer, but you can make that decision.
I think you can look at the numbers, and even as a casual fan of football, if you've never watched the game, I think you could probably compare the numbers and go, "Oh, it's the defense in San Francisco."
Yeah.
I get it.
Didn't they go to the NFC when they won the NFC Championship, went to the Super Bowl, and lost to the Chiefs? Didn't Jimmy G not even throw 10 passes in the NFC Championship game against the Packers?
Didn't have to.
Right. So how would that make sense? And it's an overpay for a guy that's already decently old. He has an injury history. He's been hurt almost every year of his career. He never plays a full season. So I just don't get it when you got other needs. If you're the Raiders, I would have rather traded up to top 3 or whatever for a quarterback in the draft because this really doesn't move me at all.
I think the Raiders tried. I think they tried to get up in the draft, in the order, but I don't think they were able to. I just don't think they could match. I just don't think they were willing to match the cost of that number 1 pick.
Yeah, I hear you. It's just tough,
It is tough.
They're just not in a good spot. They don't have that much money. They are in a spot where the roster's not great. They don't really have that great of a defense. Josh Jacobs is good. Adams is good. O-line is very questionable.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Moving on to the move that's not done yet. We could see soon. Add into the AFC, of course. We could be talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Right. And then do the Jets want to get rid of any pass catchers if they do sign Aaron, if they end up with Aaron Rodgers,
Now, here's my thing with that whole thing. I'm going to let you talk. I know I've been talking way too much.
No, you're good. You're good.
My voice that much.
Do your thing, man.
Aaron Rodgers, I think, is great. He's a great quarterback.
Yep.
He has won Super Bowl, even the 1 seed the past 3 years. He's got home field advantage for the whole playoffs, and he's got 1 playoff win to show for it.
Yeah.
I would not sign Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb for him to come here when I have Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, and Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson was close to a top 10 receiver with Zach Wilson playing quarterback, and that's almost the same thing equivalent as me playing quarterback for the Jets.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen you play, but yeah.
I can throw for 40 yards and 9 of 36. That's fine. I can do that.
Right.
But I just don't understand that. He's not I would get that if it was Brady or an athlete like LeBron, because you've seen like Brady or LeBron, like, hey, I want these guys. And it ends up working because everywhere they go, they win.
Yep.
Rodgers won once with the roster that was around Favre, and then after that, he didn't win.
Yeah. That's a fair point. And Rodgers comes with all this baggage, and
Yeah.
you know, it
The,
was off the field baggage before, and now it's on the field baggage. Now it's like, hey, I'll sign, but I need these 5 guys to come with me or whatever. I don't know. Just Aaron Rodgers. I'm just sort of like ready for him to retire, man. I don't mean that personally, but it's just every year it gets a little weirder with him coming back from the offseason, and I don't know. Does he really help a team to the point where you have Aaron Rodgers on the roster and now you're a Super Bowl contender? Is he that guy anymore?
I don't know. I think if he's not that guy, he's still pretty close.
Okay.
I know he was playing with a hurt thumb last year, and obviously not many good receivers on the roster.
Yeah.
Christian Watson started to come on at the end, but still.
Yeah.
I
But
think
didn't
that
it feel like he just sort of gave up on the year too? I mean,
I don't think he's a leader at all.
Yeah, that's what I question. I don't know. It just feels.
But, I do think that Jets rosters is good.
Yeah.
With Brees Hall going to come back too, who's going to either win Rookie of the Year or lose it to Garrett Wilson. They're going to be 1 and 2. They're really good players there. But that just adds to more in their division. With the Bills, the Patriots, and moving on to the next move I want to talk about, the Dolphins getting Jalen Ramsey for what it seemed like was a bag of chips. What do you think?
Man. So where are the Dolphins going to be in this? That division could be interesting now. Do we know exactly what's going on with Tua at this point?
I mean, they picked up his 5th-year option. Yeah. Obviously, the head stuff is a concern, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You want him to be safe, but I think he'll play. Yeah, go ahead.
That's the biggest concern is just his safety. So let me ask you this: let's say you're a Dolphins fan, we wake up and we're in Miami. We're happy because the weather's great, right? We got snow outside in March in Ohio. It's not great right here.
I'm kicking.
So we wake up this morning and we're in Miami. Okay, we're happy. How do you feel about the quarterback situation going forward? Let's say Tua, week 1, the worst possible thing happens. He gets injured, right? I'm not going to say he gets another concussion. You don't want that. But, I mean, let's just say Tua's out, and he can't go for 8-10 weeks. He's on the IR. What do you do?
Well,
do they have a decent backup plan?
They signed superstar Mike White from the Jets.
There you go. Problem solved.
But, no, I don't. It is a tough situation because I think what makes that offense go with their RPO game and quick decision-making, letting Waddle and Tyreek get out after the catch, right, is to his quick release, and he's a really good processor. Processes information quick, can get it out. I think that changes with most of the quarterbacks that they're going to bring in as backups. So we'll see. I pray he stays healthy. He seems like a super nice guy.
Yep.
But adding Jalen Ramsey to that secondary is huge because the way they kind of lost the Bills was just not being able to really cover. Xavier Howard had a down year last year. I think him going to more of the cornerback 2 role will be really good for him as he's aging, right? Ramsey, I know people are going to say, oh, he wasn't that good last year. Listen, when he was playing for a losing team, and Ramsey is kind of a diva, right? But when he's locked in, he's still one of the best corners in the NFL. It's not close.
Yeah, I think some of the wide receiver, cornerback. I think you kind of have to have that attitude a little bit in those positions. You got to be the guy.
If I want a guy like Jalen Ramsey, I don't want a guy that's quiet and doesn't say he's the best or anything like that.
I agree. I think you need those guys, especially on defense. You need those guys.
Yeah, that mentality is very important. With Miami, I don't know if they can win the division though. I think they have a chance. I also think that Bills team is kind of falling off. I think they might have missed their Super Bowl window already.
It feels like it. I was going to say that. It feels like it. It feels like they're still a very good team and they could win the division, but it just doesn't feel like they have a deep playoff run in them. It feels like they've cashed out all their chips and they just I don't know. They haven't quite found the formula there yet.
Yeah, making that, and hey, maybe you go into this offseason and Lamar plays his tender and you don't like what you see from Tua and sign Lamar and then you go all in for it, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that situation with Lamar restricted free agency? I think it's a little weird, but go
Yeah.
ahead.
It is a little weird, and I don't know because I don't feel like we're getting all the information from both sides. Um, I don't know if you saw yesterday that the Ravens basically said, "Hey, here's what we offered, Lamar Jackson," and Lamar Jackson kind of laughed at it. He tweeted a response to it and
Yeah, he
sort
said
of
that. Yeah,
insinuated that wasn't the case, right? Like, I don't know where we are.
yeah,
I don't know what the two sides are supposedly so far off about. People say that Lamar Jackson wants Deshaun Watson guaranteed money. Lamar Jackson kind of seems to insinuate that that's not what he's asking for. Um, I don't know. It does. It feels very weird. Why do the Ravens not want to pay Lamar Jackson, man? I mean, that's
yeah. That's my biggest question. And it's also kind of weird to me how owners aren't really going after a guy that's this good at football.
right.
Seems a little collusionish to me.
Yeah,
I don't really like the way it's going. It seems a little weird to me and how it's being
yeah.
painted.
And
But
what's the end game? Like, why Lamar Jackson? You know what I mean? Like, why? Why? The owners were fine with giving Deshaun Watson all this money, right? Everyone was fine with that. No one groaned about that. Maybe they did, behind closed doors. I have no idea. I don't have that much money to be behind those doors, um, unfortunately. But yeah, I just it just feels like it's different with Lamar Jackson. It feels like it's
yeah,
kind of personal,
it does feel a little personal, and I think it's very telling how much the players have his back versus like
Yeah.
the front office and the coaches. So it
Yes.
seems a little bit of a divide. Um, Here's my thing: Lamar Jackson, whenever he plays, they win. They never have a losing record when Lamar Jackson plays. I get that the last 2 years he's only played 12 games. I understand that.
Right.
Both of those years he was on pace for 4,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards. That's 5,000 yards a season with 40
It's
plus
pretty good.
touchdowns this year. That's an offense to itself without having a number one receiver. Name two of the receivers.
Uh, maybe even without a number two receiver.
Yeah, okay.
Honestly.
Exactly. We got Devin Duvernay, Rashad Bateman, who haven't worked out. They never panned out. They weren't that good. The only
Right.
good guy he has is Mark Andrews at the tight end position.
Right.
It's easy to bracket a tight end because they're inside. You're not
Yep.
giving him much to work with, and he's still dragging you to the playoffs every year.
Right.
Especially
Right.
with the offensive line that's been Orlando Brown went. Ronnie Stanley's been out for pretty much the better half of 3 years.
Yeah.
So you're playing with scraps, and he's still taking you to the playoffs. I just don't get it. Um, you draft him in the last pick of the first round. You got a steal there. I just don't understand it, man. It just doesn't make
I
sense.
feel like Lamar Jackson is a top 15 player in football. He's a top 5 or 6 quarterback when he's healthy.
5 or 6, yeah.
Pay him.
Yeah.
Pay him. I mean, somebody will. Somebody will, won't they?
I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. Oh, he's gonna get paid. Listen,
Has to.
he got offered 3 years. What he said he got offered
Mhm.
was 3 years, 133 guaranteed, which averages out to 42 a year.
Yeah.
You want to ask what Daniel Jones got a year?
Hmm.
And you think he's gonna sign for that?
Yeah, man. Yeah. It
Man,
feels weird. The
if I'm
situation is
Lamar
just
Jackson, I'm looking at Daniel Jones get 45 a year. I'm saying you better pay me at least 60.
right. 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 Compare. I mean, what has Daniel Jones done?
He threw for 15 touchdowns last year. He threw
I
for
don't
15
get it.
touchdowns this year.
I
Like
get
it just doesn't make sense to me.
No, it's really really confusing, and like I said, it feels personal, which feels kind of bad. I don't get that. Somebody that you mentioned too, Orlando Brown. If we were thinking about like maybe guys that like a wish list, right? Like an
Right.
unrealistic wish list for the Browns.
No
Man,
doubt.
Orlando Brown kind of feels perfect right now. But who
Yeah.
knows what's going on with Jedrick Wills? But the Browns can't afford Orlando Brown. Let's be
No.
honest.
He's gonna want a lot of money.
Yeah, he's going to get paid. He is going to get paid. And, who knows? I don't know where he's going to end up. Who knows? But he's going to get paid. CJ Gardner Johnson is another guy. We were just kind of looking at, just free agents. I know the Browns really don't have much of a shot at CJ, but what do you think about the Bengals as a landing spot for him?
I better not. I better not see this.
I mean, I just feel like it's a good possibility. And they just saw Jesse Bates and Von Bell are gone. I mean, what better way to make a splash than?
uh,
It feels bad to me. It feels like it's going to happen. Just
I better not.
no. Yeah, it feels really
I
bad,
better
man. I
not
feel
see
like it's
this.
going to happen.
I mean, I'll be so. I just hope he goes back to the Eagles, stay in the NFC.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, chances are he goes back to the. I think he ends up back in Philly. To be honest
Yeah,
with you,
I would
but if he
guess.
goes anywhere else, I think it might be the Bengals. I don't want to
Yeah,
say that, but
I mean, I agree with you, which is
yeah,
scary because I think he's
yeah,
a really good football player. So
yeah,
that scares me a little.
yeah. The Bengals don't need more of those from a Browns perspective.
Yeah,
We don't want to see that.
yeah.
That's for
Last
sure.
big thing we'll talk about in the NFL. Obviously, we didn't talk about it yet. Is the trade for the number one pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah,
I believe it was 2 firsts, 2 seconds.
yeah.
In that DJ Moore, at least I might be missing a couple things. Sorry if I am. How do you
Like
feel about
5
that?
concession stands. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
they threw everything in.
fax machine.
Yeah, at least a fax machine, right? That's important. Well, that's signing day, I guess that's important for.
Well, they
Um,
don't do it anymore either.
no, they don't. It's just it's a ruse. It was always a ruse, I think. Um, how do I feel about it? I mean, it depends on what you do with that number one pick, right? Um, to me, as a biased Ohio State fan, I think it's CJ Stroud, right?
Oh yeah, you ain't gonna get no pull from me on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you do. I think that's the move. Now, I can already feel the heat. Well, but Ohio State quarterbacks never pan out yet. Okay, they haven't. Okay, to me, I might rant for a minute. Okay, it's the dumbest thing in the world to say that hey, nothing has ever happened, so that means it can't. Right? Like before we went to the moon, had we ever gone to the moon? No. Before the Browns won a super. No. Okay.
Um,
Before the Browns went to. Okay. No. Okay. Before Ohio State beat Alabama, right? They had never beaten Bama. So what do we have to hear for the whole time leading up to that playoff game? Slow Ohio State. Buckeyes can't hang with it's the SEC. It's nonsense. Well, you guys played in '95 and Bama won by a point and a half, so it's not going to. I hate that. I can't stand that argument. It's a dumb argument. CJ Stroud, I think, is going to pan out very, very well in the NFL. I think he's the best quarterback in the draft. He's not going to come in and be a top 5 guy right away. I mean, I think wherever he ends up, it may be. Who knows? But they're going to have some issues, obviously.
sure.
But I expect him to pan out very well and have a very, very nice career. So, if that's the move, I think it was a great trade.
I agree. I think it will be a win-win for both teams.
Yeah.
You get a number one receiver if you're the Bears.
Yeah.
And you get some draft equity, and you can draft an offensive lineman at 9.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great move. You're investing in Justin Fields, right? Who looked good at the end of the year. And if you're the Panthers, you go get your guy, whoever that guy is. That's your guy. I think that should be C.J. Stroud. I think especially, with the Panthers' run game and their offensive line, who's actually pretty good and young, they can win some football games. They also still have another second-round pick they can use on a receiver. Or, guys, I get it. There's a lot of great receivers in the NFL that, how can you trade DJ Moore? That's your wide receiver 1. Who's he going to throw to? Yeah. Receivers become available all the time in trades.
All the time.
Amon-Ra St. Brown was a 5th or 6th round pick, right, for Detroit. Yeah. He's a top 20 receiver. Terry McLaurin, 3rd round pick. A.J. Brown, 2nd round pick. These guys come. Receiver is becoming the deepest talent pool in the NFL.
Yeah.
There's so many good ones.
Remember when you didn't have to take a running back for a while? When you running backs in the 2nd round, they'll be there. That's kind of how it feels with receivers now.
No, yeah. Obviously, there's special ones.
Oh, sure.
Obviously. But, Jamar Chase, he's a special one.
Yeah.
But they also got T. Higgins in the 2nd round, who's a wide receiver 1 a lot of other places, right?
Yeah.
So, we'll see. I think it's a good trade for both teams. You get what you want for both teams.
Do you think there's any – I don't want to say tank, but I said it. Do you think there's any thought process coming out of of Chicago's camp to maybe I don't want to just maybe not mail it in, but not give it the full go for next year, or, and maybe try to end up with Marvin Harrison in Chicago?
I don't think so, but here's why.
Hmm?
Uh, I think that Vikings team is very beatable. I don't
Okay.
obviously they kind of proved playoff frauds when it came down to it. They
Okay.
don't really have a good defense. Kirk Cousins is their quarterback. Um,
Yeah.
Packers era is
Yeah.
probably gone,
Yep.
right? So I think you have a chance to win that division.
Yeah.
Um, if you play good football, if you make the right draft moves. They signed T.J. Edwards and Tremaine Johnson at
Yeah.
linebacker. I like those moves. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens, but I think they could have a chance to win their division.
Okay. I think they got to win 11 games. Can they win 11 games?
Do you think they got to win 11 games?
I think they might have to win 11 games.
I don't think so.
You
I
don't think
think
so?
I know. I think the Vikings had a weak schedule last year and skated by in a lot of games.
Okay.
I
Fair.
think the Packers are 500 at best. I think they can go 10-7 and win the division. Now,
Okay.
10 wins from where they were at is obviously a big jump, right?
Yeah, that's going to be a big jump. That's going to feel
But
monumental.
I feel like they could believe that with a wide receiver one and a better offensive line that they now have the best quarterback in the division.
Yeah. I don't. That's not
Um,
unreasonable. They've got the
so
best athlete in the division.
yeah,
I
no
mean,
doubt.
yeah. So
So
we'll see how he. We'll see how he. He's got to develop a little
obviously,
bit, but
and obviously, I should have mentioned the Lions. That's on me because they should. I think they'll have a chance to win the division also.
for
So,
sure, I think the Lions are
um,
going to be good. That's where I thought the 11 games might come in.
um, but we'll see. They got off to a slow start last year. The Lions did. Um, Goff is kind of a volatile quarterback up one year down the next. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I think that's enough free agency, draft, trade talk for us.
Agreed.
Obviously, it's March, baby. You know what
Oh
that
yeah.
means. Some of my favorite, memories of my life are in this time of year.
Yeah.
Um, Jeff, get us started. What do you think about March this year?
March Madness. I was trying to go through the bracket and just I guess the first thing you want to do is try to get to your final four, right?
Yep.
Um, so where do you start? I mean, who's the best team in the nation? I think obviously it's Alabama, right? I mean, is there really any
I
doubt there?
I think there could be a case for Houston.
Houston's really good. Houston's really good.
Um,
Obviously Marcus Sasser, can just straight fill it up. I don't know that I remember a guy. Here's the thing that stands out to me about Sasser, real quick, while we're on Houston.
yep.
He's so quick and explosive, but then so controlled around the rim. I mean, that's
Yep.
that's a hard thing sometimes for
No doubt.
for point guards to be able to slash through and get through all the traffic and then be athletic enough to finish at the rim.
Yeah.
Man, Sasser's really, really good around the rim. I mean, it's
Uh, no, but
unbelievable.
I think I'd agree with you that Bama's the best because I think they do have the best player.
Yeah,
I know there's a lot of controversy around him right now. Brandon Miller is
there
going to be
is.
a top 3 pick
Yeah,
in the draft if the legal stuff doesn't go sideways. I don't
yeah,
think it will at this point. If it would have, it probably already would have gone, right?
yeah,
But he is ridiculous. He's 6'9", shot creator that can create for others and off the dribble.
yeah. It's so fluid.
But who's your final four?
Okay, so it's kind of boring. I got a bunch of one seeds so far.
Yeah, same.
I got out of the Midwest. I got Houston coming out.
Yep.
The East, I think it's Purdue. Does anybody really compare? Can anybody compete with Zach Edey in the middle?
I don't care. I've never seen Purdue be good enough to go past the Sweet 16. I don't care. Listen, I have Purdue losing in the round of 32.
Okay. I think
So-
they go to the Final Four. I think they have too much size. I think Edey has too much lateral movement. You can't get a good shot off inside against them at all.
And
And you know how it is. Sometimes now look, maybe I'm wrong here, but this is my perception, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
March Madness, right? You go to all these different gyms, you shoot. There's different backdrops. There's sometimes you use a different ball. Sometimes teams go ice cold, right, in the tournament. If Purdue can maybe get a couple of those teams that go cold, I think they can get to the Final Four. I just think they're really, really good. Maybe I'm biased because it's a Big Ten thing, and I just saw them dominate all year. I don't know. I think they're a good team. But out of the South, obviously I have Alabama. I think they're the best team overall. And in the West, man, I got UConn. I think UConn kind of remember in the early season they were red hot. Well, they started off 14-0.
You're gonna do Kansas like that?
Yes. Kansas feels like a 3 seed to me. Yes.
Oh,
Watch. I don't think Kansas even I don't think Kansas gets to the Sweet 16. I think they get beat early. I know they got Jalen Wilson. I know, but they just don't feel the
Grady.
same.
This is his name, Grady Dick.
Yeah, okay, fair. But
Really
their
good.
defense is just so soft. I feel like it's not a normal Kansas defense. It feels, again, they just don't feel like a 1 seed to me. I don't know.
See, my thing with Purdue is I've seen teams get into their guards and it really affects them.
Yeah.
Um, and they almost lost to Rutgers because they were just physical with them.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance, if you get into Edie's legs, you kind of saw it somewhat in the second half against Ohio State,
Mm-hmm.
that you got into his legs and he was starting to leave his hooks short.
Yeah.
I just think that's like as much of a chance as somebody not getting hot. There's also a chance of a Cinderella guy getting hot.
Of course,
And
always.
Right. So, and I think if they pressure the guards and make them turn it over, I just don't see. I really don't see Purdue getting out.
Yeah, maybe it's Marquette out of that region. I mean, Marquette's a really good team too.
Marquette's
I just
really good.
there was so much inconsistency coming out of the East. I mean, I looked at the top 4 seeds and I don't know. It's like, like I said, Marquette had some up and down points. I don't know. What about who's your Final Four? Let's get to your Final Four.
Okay. I got Bama.
Okay.
Kansas. Houston. Marquette.
Okay.
Simple.
Fair enough. 3 1s and a 2. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I think you're wrong, but I don't think Kansas.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. That's fair. You're a Purdue guy this year, which, let me know when they make it past the Sweet 16.
Man, am I a Purdue guy? Man. Okay.
Got him!
Right, fine. Then I get past the 16. Let's see. Let's see what happens. What do you think? Who's your Cinderella? Like, who's your team? We talked about a Cinderella team that gets hot. Do you have one team that you think, or
This
just
is easy.
what's that? Okay.
Oral Roberts, baby. Max Abrams. He did it a few years ago, to the good old Ohio State Buckeyes when they were the 2 seed.
Yeah.
He's one of the best scorers in the nation. He can get hot. They play kind of like a 5-out system. I think Oral Roberts will be a problem this year.
Okay.
So I have them making the Sweet 16. I might bump them to the Elite 8. We'll see.
Okay.
But I think he will carry that team, and I think that's the Cinderella story. What do you got?
Listen, I'm impressed with you. Okay. I'm impressed with you. I have Oral Roberts here. I think they beat Duke. I think they beat Duke in the first round. I think it feels weird. Duke hasn't they haven't missed the top 4 seed since 2007, I think.
Yeah.
So they're a 5 seed this year, and this game suddenly feels like a must win for them. Obviously, it's a must win. You have to win to go win the tournament. But it feels like there's more than that at stake for Duke. I feel like this is like the future of the program, right? I think it goes a long way toward recruiting if they can make a deep run. And I think, simultaneously, I think it really, really hurts them if they get knocked out by Oral Roberts in the first round here. Because the perception is, okay, now they've got John Shire at the helm. Coach K's not there anymore. They've already dropped off from this elite top tier to, the next tier. And I think, the next move really decides what happens in Duke's future.
Right.
If they beat Oral Roberts and get to the Elite 8 and look like Duke, okay, business as usual. Shire, a little hiccup, whatever. Coach K, there's a letdown. I get it. He's been there for 100 years. It's fine. But if they lose to Oral Roberts, and especially if Oral Roberts puts it on them, man, if it's 78-59 and Duke comes out and doesn't even really compete, then I think they have a recruiting problem, and I think they've got a program problem going forward.
Yeah. I agree with that. That's what scares me about my Cinderella pick with Oral Roberts is that it could be that Duke's getting hot at the right time. Obviously, they won the ACC tournament, right?
Yeah,
So you
could
could be
be.
a little scared of that. But uh, maybe it's just year one of Shire trying to figure it out, and you give
Yeah,
them, you give them a year of, hey, okay, you can figure it out and get it done. Um,
yeah.
but we'll see. I think it could be definitely a turning point where
I
guys don't
guess.
want to come there as much anymore. But we'll see.
Yeah, I
Um,
think the perception is that they're a tick below.
yeah,
Penn State is a team I have to keep an
I
eye
do
on.
like Penn State. I do like
Yeah,
Penn
it's
State.
Jalen Pickett, man. I listen. They're going to have a problem in the first round. There's going to be they play Texas A&M, and that's going to be an explosive game to watch. By the way, the
Yeah,
guard play in that game, I
yeah,
can't wait. I just got goosebumps. I can't wait for Thursday.
no
I
doubt.
love the first couple of days of the NCAA tournament
Yeah,
so much. I mean,
yeah,
it's harder now that it's on three channels. I got to remember, like, where's Court TV? Like, why
yeah.
why
What's
why is there
TBS?
basketball on Court TV? Like, what's going on there? But yeah, all the buzzer beaters and just like the quick like bounce back. Like, okay, let's take you over to Villanova and St. John's or whoever. It's I
Yeah,
love that feel. I love that tournament feel where it's just going on all over the country simultaneously. But yeah, Penn State, I think they're a 10. I think they've gotten hot at the right time though. They're really good down the stretch. I think they might ride that to a Sweet 16 appearance, man.
oh, wow. Okay.
I think they might get
Um,
deep in.
I do like Penn State. I think they're a really good team.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to really decide on a team out of the Big Ten that I really like. I think they just beat up on each other so much. It's so physical in the Big Ten that
Yeah.
it's hard for me to see them going that deep.
Yeah. And there really wasn't one team that was like, besides my Purdue,
Yeah,
there really wasn't one team that stood out to me that could compete really on a national level at, past the Sweet 16, besides my Purdue, because I'm right there. Purdue's going to get to the Final Four, man. Um, yeah, I agree. The Big Ten felt down. I mean, I don't know what happened to Ohio State this year.
no doubt.
Um, I don't know. And I keep looking at this West region, and there's a lot of intriguing stories. And that's why, listen, I have UConn coming out of there because, again, Kansas doesn't feel like a true one seed. UCLA has just been kind of devastated by injury, right? Like, they're a great
No,
team, obviously. But, I mean, man, Jalen Clark, what, top 10 in the nation in steals, defensive player of the
yeah,
year in the Pac-12. And that's a huge – that hurts, right?
yeah,
Gonzaga, okay, not your normal Gonzaga, right? I mean, they struggled with a lot of those West Coast Conference teams that
no doubt.
I don't think they should struggle with if they're going to compete on a national level. I don't think they get, they can fill it up, they can score, but you know where
Yeah,
they finished in scoring defense?
or last.
262nd in the nation, man. They give up 72.9 points per game, and yeah, I mean they like I said they can score. They score 87.5 points per game, but do you know who's second in scoring? Toledo. They just lost
So
to Michigan in the NIT. So I mean, scoring isn't all of it, right? You got to play some defense, and Gonzaga hasn't been very good on defense at all.
shout out to Penn
I think
State.
they're going to get exposed pretty early. So again, I have UConn coming out. I think UConn's going to figure out whatever was going on with them early in the season. I think they figured that out.
Yeah,
They struggle through their conference. All these teams struggle with teams they shouldn't have struggled with
right.
in the West.
No doubt.
Um, we'll see. I don't know. I like UConn there.
Yeah. Um, Obviously we're running a little low on time right now. How about we
Okay,
do a quick three and out segment of
let's do it.
three of your favorite March Madness moments off the
Ooh,
top of your head.
3 of my favorite March Madness moments. I'm trying to think back to 3 Duke losses.
Wow.
Those are some of my favorite moments. Um, Honestly, one of my favorite moments, and it ended up in a little bit of disappointment, but that Ohio State team that went on to play Florida in the championship game. I just watching them come together. It wasn't really a moment. It was like the package of the whole tournament that year.
Yeah.
Just watching them play together and kind of figured out they won so many different ways that year. That
No
was a
doubt.
lot of fun for me because as an Ohio State fan, what do? I mean, you gravitate toward the North Carolinas and
Right.
the Gonzagas. I mean, whoever's the hot flavor because Ohio State's they've got a decent program, but I mean, like this year, they definitely show some marked inconsistency. Right, they're up and
Right.
down. I think that's one of my favorite. I mean, just getting to that title game, and obviously the Gators and Billy Don. They were just a meat grinder.
Yeah.
Joe Kim Noah and whatever.
Yeah.
That was a fun tournament for me.
Yeah. I don't know if this was in March and it was the Big Ten tournament.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously I'd like to start with the Evan Turner just inside half court to beat Michigan in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah. That
I
was
can
cool.
remember that call word for word pretty much.
Yeah.
That was just a great moment. Evan Turner, one of the best players in Ohio State history, and as a
Yeah.
college player, two-time National Player of the Year, I believe.
Yeah.
So that was a great moment.
Yeah.
Who's your next pick here?
I've got some weird memories of the NCAA tournament. One of my lasting memories is of UNLV back in the early '90s, and you wouldn't even know about this, man. I'm old, but yeah,
Um,
UNLV, Raleigh Massimino, man, sitting on the sidelines chewing on the towel. You ever see that? You know what I'm
yeah,
talking about?
yeah, I've caught up on my
Yeah,
history.
Raleigh Mass. Yeah, just chew on the towel. Those UNLV teams, man, were just amazing to watch. And they played Duke a couple of times. I remember, early on in the '90s watching some of those, and I love those teams. I really did.
Yeah, one of my next favorite moments are Cinderella stories, right? Is the Florida Gulf Coast team that was called, believe Dunk City is what they called them.
Yeah.
Um,
I want to get to a
um,
comment coming in. Essence says UNLV was great to see in the '90s. They really
oh
were,
yeah.
man. They were fun to watch. I was
Um,
like, I can feel the dryness in my mouth from Raleigh Massimino chewing on that towel. How does he
yeah.
do that? Ugh.
Um, that team was fun. They were like this team that was like, oh, this small school, and then they're out there throwing lobs,
Yep.
dunking everything, and making a Sweet 16 run, I believe, which was pretty awesome back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun times. I love when any team gets hot. And I guess my third favorite, I don't know, it's my favorite moment, but it was a moment of pride for me. I think it was the '97-'98 season. Again, I'm going going kind of back. I had a bunch of different just brackets out there, right? And in
Right.
every single bracket, I picked 15 seed Richmond over number 2 South Carolina, right?
Yep.
I had just for some reason I had caught Richmond a few times, and they just had this like 3 guard combo, and it's been so long I don't remember the names now. But I was like, man, they're going to be tough to beat. And South Carolina was really, really good. I think they were like 25-3, 26-3. And everybody, I remember my buddy looking at me like, what are you doing, man? You're picking Richmond over. I was like, just watch the Spiders, man. Pay attention. Like, South Carolina doesn't have an answer for these 3 guards, and they didn't, man. I think they made it actually a little bit of a deep run. I think they might have gotten to the Sweet 16 that year. But that's one of my moments of pride, man. Picking the 15 over the 2
Oh
on
yeah.
every bracket out there and being right about it. I was like
No
I'm going to be
doubt.
right about Purdue in the Final Four. I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. You're gonna be wrong.
I tried to
But
sneak it.
my last one is the most vivid memory I have is watching in the national championship is the Chris Jenkins game winner against UNC for Villanova.
Yeah.
Kind of a crazy moment. You never really see it in storybook like that. So
Yeah.
Marcus Page hits like a double clutch 3 to pretty much tie the game with a few seconds left.
Yeah.
They go full length of the court, handoff pitch type of thing back to Chris Jenkins. He strokes it for the win, and it's just an awesome way to go out.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Essence. We got another comment here. Will
Bryan,
16 ever beat a 1 again? What do you think, Aidan?
uh, it's so hard for that to happen.
Yeah.
Um,
I think there's more parity today. Obviously, you finally saw it happen. I think they will. I think there's, especially with NIL deals, you never know. Like one of these small teams might creep up and
it's just
snag
very
a
hard.
score with an NIL
Yeah.
deal and still be a 16 seed, but maybe win a couple. Who knows? Who knows?
Will it happen again? Yeah, probably.
Sure. The
Uh,
likelihood is, yeah, it's sports, man. Anything
will it
can happen.
happen
I
in the
think it could.
next 3 or 4 years? I don't know.
Probably not.
But,
Watch it be Purdue this year.
yeah, well, Purdue. All right, that's ridiculous. All right, I think that's gonna do it for the show today. Good show. Of course, it's always good with my man Chadwick.
Always.
Had a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. Go Cavs tonight on national television. Chad, what do you got to say, man?
Boiler up.
Yeah. Cut his mic.
Buddy?
Cut his mic. 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 All right. That's been Come On Ref. Thank you for watching.
Good show, guys. Thanks.